decided to sleeve up old faithful Ivan Slagputt this weekend.
Not surprised. Top aided the CCS with it last week, so he got his wonderful Cosmic Crown Showdown sleeves.
Look at
here.
those beauties.
The animated crown here. You get these for winning a Cosmic Crown Showdown.
Those are beautiful. So Ivan Slagpot, and it looks like we are definitely on Redlings here, so nothing surprising there, and we are against, this is a classic matchup actually, against Dreaming Fox, the old Diamond Sapphire control deck.
Yep, and this is arguably, this is the reason to play the Diamond Sapphire deck, right? It's supposed to beat up on these Lasgar's Vengeance-based aggressive decks.
Definitely. A little awkward here, as you can see for your Dreaming Fox, I believe it's Poodine, I don't want to slaughter it too bad, but I believe Poodine is the name. It's a little awkward, double Psychic Ascension in hand, but two of the more powerful cards in the opener here, and Dark Heart of Nolzan and Silver Talon Adjudicator.
Yeah, I think a keep like this is definitely reasonable, especially when you're on the play.
Sure.
If you're on the draw, not having a guaranteed play till turn 4 is a little bit slow, but on the play, a lot of times Dark Heart can just steal a game, especially if the Redlings player misses a beat.
Yeah, certainly. So, and you can see here in TPZ's hand, we have both colors are online here with the Sepulchre Crypt Dust, and there are multiple Necrotic troops in hand, including Deathseeker, a pair of Underworld Crusaders. There is a Mortar Strike Driver and a Wicked Web Spawn also in hand here.
So, this is the ideal curve that you want, right? From the Slagpot side of the table, you're on the draw, but you've got 1-drop into 2-drop. If TPZ hits their third shard on 3, they're going to have one of their best starts here.
Yeah, it's very, very aggressive start here. Another Silver Talon Adjudicator drawn here for Poodine.
And you can see Poodine did choose to Fate Weave a non-resource to the top of their deck there, because they do know they need to try and find some action before that turn 4 Dark Heart to be competitive in a game like this.
Alright, looks like TP is going to go ahead and crack in for 2, and then didn't draw the third resource yet. However, they still have both colors online, and Emperor's Lackey, very powerful 2-drop. One of the better cards on 2 in this deck, especially against Dreaming Fox.
Yeah, it's really good in a matchup like this, because assuming TPZ hits their third resource on 3 here, they're going to be able to play that Underworld Crusader, and Emperor's Lackey Sacrifice allows it to protect it from cards like Transmogre Fate or Runebind.
Alright, looks like he did miss the third resource, but drew the aforementioned Lasgar's Vengeance for the turn here.
We can see the Lasgar's Vengeance here, very powerful Ruby action. This card's going to be added to our banned list on Monday, but it's legal for this last tournament, and every time one of TPZ troops attacks, it ticks up right on down there. And the important thing to note here, too, is even though TPZ misses their third resource drop, they do still get to add additional pressure to the table this time.
Yeah, not the worst. We still have tons of plays available. And if their third resource is hit here, we're going to be off and rolling here. So the onus is definitely on Poodine here to be able to jam the Silver Talon Adjudicators and try and gas back up a little bit and gain some life, try and stabilize before hitting that Psychic Ascension.
So do you think we're going to see a Silver Talon Adjudicator on 4 here, or a Dark Heart?
It's kind of hard to say. I think playing the Dark Heart is probably better off here. Yeah, and Poodine comes to that same conclusion. It's going to get one of the troops off the battlefield for TPZ, and then the interesting thing about the Slagpot and the Redlings deck in particular is you don't have a lot of main deck answers to this card right away, other than attacking and hoping that they block, and then Lasgaring them down.
Okay.
So.
Or you can try and kind of go through it with First Bucket Distractors like we see here. It also generates some Dreadlings there off the Wicked Web Spawn, which not only tick the Lasgar's Vengeance down, but also allow the Emperor's Lackey to gas back up a little bit.
Yep. Alrighty, so draws another Dark Heart of Nulls, and that's a pretty good draw too. So now that one can also block, and then...
This is pretty aggressive here.
It is. The attack is pretty good.
But that's where something noting too is like these aggressive decks, especially the Redlings deck, they can grind a little bit too, especially with cards like Underworld Crusader. So you need to actually get them dead. Also, that one can't block, so that would make sense to attack with. It's not terribly aggressive. Can't block, must attack.
Yes. So what Jeff's referring to is the Dreaming Fox opponent's Dark Heart of Nulzan there on the left side has that it cannot block due to the Rust Bucket Distractor scrounged by TPZ in the previous turn. So it's getting kind of close here. The good news is for Dreaming Fox is they still have 2 Silver Talon Adjudicators in hand to gain some life here. And there's a Weave into Nothing, but like I said earlier when we started this game, the 2 Psychic Ascensions are very, very awkward and still on 15 even.
Yep. It's looking like he might not get. Poodine might not get punished for that just because TPZ really can't attack.
Drawn a 3rd Silver Talon Adjudicator, so I think it looks like we're going to be able to stabilize here on the Dreaming Fox side.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to lock it up. I think TPZ was hoping to kind of sneak one out with the Gravengeist in the sky for these last few points of damage, but the Silvertail Adjudicators are probably just going to clog that up.
Yeah, and it was a little unfortunate here for TPZ. He missed the third resource for this is probably 5 turns here. Now I believe this is his 5th or 6th turn.
Yeah.
So we've missed the third resource in order to play these the Underworld Crusaders, which are even good just to kind of attack in anyways, and then just draw more cards.
Yep.
So.
Really don't see a good way out for TPZ at this point. He can deploy this Deathseeker that comes back every turn, but because there's 2 Dark Hearts on the table, he can't really play anything else to insulate himself from that. He doesn't have a way to go wide around through this since the Wicked Web Swarm was killed.
Yeah, certainly in some trouble here. And like I said earlier, there's really no main deck answers that one just straight away kill out Dark Heart of Nolzan from the Redlings side, so they're kind of just on the table. And if your opponent doesn't block in a poor way, or if they're not like currently, Putin's not really forced to block, so the Lasgars doesn't really do much other than to 4 damage, really. So it's not really taking care of the board. So.
So we see TPZ go ahead and play the Deathseeker out here. Again, just kind of treading water against these Dark Hearts. It's not doing a whole lot. He's going to have to sacrifice his entire board when it comes back around to him here.
Drew, our 5th resource here on the Dreaming Fox side, going to go ahead and slam down another Silvertail Adjudicator. This one, interestingly enough, also draws cards in addition to gaining life.
So Silvertail Adjudicator, really powerful, just kind of everything that a control deck wants to be doing. If you're down on life, you gain some extra life. If you're down on cards, you get some extra cards. And the beautiful artwork on this alternate art.
That's pretty gorgeous, yeah, definitely. Yeah, Silvertail Adjudicator, essentially, what I refer to it as just the glue that holds the deck together. It does everything here. So it now our Dreaming Fox player even is at more life than our Redlings player is, which is kind of scary.
That's so unfortunate. That means this bird's not going to get to gain any life.
It's true. What a drawback.
It's pretty unlucky, if really.
Pretty bad drawback. All right. I've seen that Silvertail Adjudicator somewhere. Do you know where else I've seen it? In a different kind of card?
The Silver Talons are across a lot of different artwork.
Oh, different artwork. Universe. Got it. Yeah. I understand. Okay.
So TPZ finally does hit their 3rd resource drop here, and he's going to give it the old college shot.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Hey, the Psychic Ascension's ticked down.
It's now 14. The Psychic Ascensions are now 14.
It's getting closer every turn almost. So Runebind, this is one of the more powerful cards in Hex's current standard format, and it's not powerful because of a generic power level, but more so because of the flexibility that it offers. So,
yes, it is quite the combination with the Dark Heart of Nolzan on the table.
Yeah, so this takes any card either on the chain or in play and turns it into a mysterious rune. So it kind of puts it into like this stasis state where it's like off to the side and it's delayed until they get a resource, but because we have these Dark Hearts of Nolzan in play, TPZ is going to be forced to sacrifice that rune before he ever has a chance to get it back. So, along with something like Dark Heart of Nolzan, just super, super powerful.
You can also see here the Runebind there on the Underworld Crusader actually negated the champion power from Ivan Slagpot. There was 0 Underworld troops in play at the time, so we had no Dreadlings made. So we're going to go ahead and come in here for 8, which is pretty free here at 21, I think. Like we said earlier, it's almost all but locked up here.
What do you think about not playing the Dark Heart there?
That's actually a good question. I guess you put them dead on board if you play the Dark Heart here. And maybe the Weave into Nothing is just maybe they feel like they want to hold something the Weave into Nothing for something.
They don't have a second Sapphire.
Oh, that's fair. Yes, that's correct.
That's close. I feel like this is kind of a pick our own adventure book to win the game.
We're going to get there some way. Yeah. All right, coming in for 3. Putting him down to 18. Dreaming Fox opponent, or our Dreaming Fox player is down to 18.
Say what you will about TPZ's draws here, but he is not a quitter.
That is true.
He did not top 8 the last CCS by mistake. He's going to make his opponent deal every last point of damage to him.
Yeah, TPZ definitely looks like he subscribes to the line of making our opponent kill us,
Yep.
I like it. I like that.
And as someone who plays a lot of games, sometimes you don't always remember all of your outs, Like,
yes.
These TCGs are complicated, so making them have it is definitely,
And it's, in quotes, early, so you might want to warm up your deck, kind of figure out what you're going to draw as you go along, so never know. Alrighty, we see another Runebind drawn here from Pudin. So it's
that's actually going to be lethal, right? They can rune bind one of these two blockers and then
attack
both the
through.
dark
Yes, it looks like that is lethal. Alrighty, makes the play. Rune binds the Underworld Crusader and looks like an attack in. Yep. TPZ finally has had enough.
Finally had enough there. All right, so first game's going to go over to Poudine there. We're going to go ahead and queue on up game number 2. See how that goes.
Yeah, kind of interesting there. I don't know if TPZ would have hit his third resource on time. You think that game's obviously a lot different. You think we win that game?
Yeah,
given the draws?
I feel like it didn't even need to be the Ruby for the Lazarus Vengeance on time.
Just anything.
I feel like if we'd even just been like another Cryptus for a generic thresh-hold, he would have been able to apply pressure with the Crusaders, and those would have drawn him into cards eventually to get the.
Yeah, I certainly could see the game being a lot different if the third resource would have came off the top there. Alright, like we said, we're heading down into game number 2 here. And Ivan Slagpot, TPZ, is going to be on the play for this game. Okay, this is a fun experiment that I play sometimes. When you got stuck on 2 resources in the previous game, it's always just such a mess trying to decide if you want to keep the 2 sharder or not. It's just internal conflict. Anyways, here we see a nice one from TPZ. He has 2 resources here, and then a pair of Graven Geists, a Wicked Web Spawn was just drawn, an Emperor's Lackey, Crimson Slayer, and another Underworld Crusader. So we have a smattering of 1 and 2s.
They're missing that very important third shard yet again, though, like you mentioned, Valdro.
Yes,
it's pretty important to hit that.
It's a slippery slope. They did have both colors, though, so they can play most of their hand out here fairly efficiently, so I think it's certainly going to be a little bit different than the last game.
That being said, the hand from Poudine on the other side of the table is actually a lot better this game than it was the previous game. They're currently missing their diamond threshold, but they did Fate Weave on the first turn, likely putting that third shard on top of their deck. And we see not only the powerful Rune Bind as a delaying and a tempo play, but they also have access to this Transmogrifade as well to slow down kind of the aggressive stuff.
Yeah, we kind of have the anti-aggro hand here, if you will. Pair of 1-drops to deal with things, and then we have the Stabilizer in Silver Talon Adjudicator should we continue to hit our thresholds and our resource drops here.
CTPZ lead out on the Emperor's Lackey here again, just like your best, most powerful turn 2 play, gets as much power on the table as you can. And honestly, if he hits his third resource this time, fingers crossed, he's going to have the most aggressive start you can have in this deck.
Yeah, we're coming in pretty hot if we hit the third resource. Alright, you're going to pass the turn back over here to Poudine. And we Fate Wove the previous turn, so
I'm going to expect to see a shard come off the top here, which likely
almost certainly
Diamond.
All right, Diamond Ice, sure.
Perfect, and that's going to guarantee the 4th resource drop in this hand. And that's the Fate Weave mechanic is just so elegant. It reduces some of that really frustrating variance out of the game, where your control deck misses its 3rd and 4th resource drops.
It's a very powerful effect, especially in these control decks where you want your resources when you want your resources, and you want your actions and your troops when you want your troops and actions. So you get to kind of decide what you want when you need it.
So really small thing here from TPZ, but you'll notice when they play that Cryptus, it can't give them the additional Ruby threshold or additional blood if they have double threshold cards, but they choose to take the diamond with that Cryptus. And that's relevant post-board because the Redlings deck often gets to bring in Gemborn Prowler out of the reserves, which they can then use to get the added bonuses from the Dark Heart with that diamond threshold.
Yeah, definitely. We see a little interesting choice here. So, as we alluded to earlier, the Underworld Crusader with Emperor's Lackey in play, you have the option to sacrifice to the Emperor's Lackey in order to draw cards to sort of play around things, like Runebind and Transmogrifade. So we can see with Underworld Crusader, when it dies, when the Death Cry triggers, you draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. So TPZ elected to draw the 2 cards, which I think is pretty reasonable here. We needed shards, and you just want to gas back up, basically.
And not only does it give you an extra power on your Emperor's Lackey, but the average 2-drop generated at random is pretty poor, has 1 or even 2 points of power. It's much worse than just gassing up and drawing 2 more cards.
Yeah, I agree. So we came in here, we made our Ivan Slagpot power, and created 1 Dreadling and cracked in for 5, so Dreaming Fox down to 20. As we saw earlier, the Fate Weave put another diamond into Poudine's hand here.
Worth noting, Poudine's passing back, but they do have the powerful Weave into Nothing interrupt here to stop whatever play TPZ is going to be able to make this turn.
Let's see where he goes from here. We have quite a bit of decisions here for TPZ. Anything you like particularly here?
There's a lot of different ways we could sequence this hand. I think you probably want to try and set up the Wicked Web spawn,
Sure.
but at the same time, there's this little light going off in your head, like my opponent passed.
Yes.
They have double Sapphire thresholds. Like Weave
Are
is
we
definitely
baiting?
on your mind.
Yep.
Another card that's very common on the Sapphire Diamond controlled X boards is Confounding Ire.
Yes.
The card lets them interrupt a blood card, so that could interrupt the Wicked Web spawn potentially.
Yep.
So I feel like if you want to sequence, if you want to play your threats, it might be right to lead on the Gravengeist here just to see if they react to this card.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you play this Gravengeist and they don't interrupt it, maybe you just pass the turn and like try and let the Dreaming Fox player not use the resources.
Yeah, that's fair. I think you could. There's tons of reasonable lines, and I think if I was in TPZ shoes, I'd probably play the Gravengeist, and then he has Casualty of War in hand, which is kind of an interesting sideboard card against Dreaming Fox. They don't have a lot of troops, but the troops that you care about, i.e. Dark Art of Nolzan, is no alignment with Ardent or Underworld. So it's just a 1-for-1 removal spell in it, and it's basically the biggest card against them post board. So I think if I was going to do it, that's what I would do.
Yeah, so we'll see here. And again, it depends on kind of like what the sequencing is from Poudine will vary. The responses from Poudine will vary what Trevor TPZ wants to do with their turn.
Interesting. He goes for the Crimson Slayer here.
Also, this is also, so it's worth noting too, like Crimson Slayer is definitely the worst threat
Yes.
in their hand. And that went ahead and resolved. And then we'll go ahead and playing the Ruby Ice here. And then opting not to deploy the Gravengeist.
Alrighty, so we do see the Dark Heart of Nolzan on turn 4 here. And TPZ, like I said, does have the very powerful reserve card in Casualty of War. Pretty good one there. Pretty good one off the top here. We drew an Underworld Crusader off the top, TPZ did.
I was going to talk about all the different sequencing decisions that we had available to us, but
However,
jamming an Underworld Crusader down their throat sounds much better than the rest of them.
pretty good. So TPZ was able to hit 5th resource, so we were able to play the Underworld Crusader and also use our powerful reserve card, Casualty of War, on the Dark Heart of Nolzan. Looks like we drew another Ice on the Dreaming Fox side, so yeah, this one's pretty cut and dry, I think. Just going to play the old Silver Talon, gain 5 life, and hope to have a blocker.
Something that's kind of interesting too. We noticed last game that there were 2 Psychic Ascension stranded in Poudine's hand, and they won the game in spite of that.
Sure.
This game, they've left Psychic Ascension in the deck, which is kind of an interesting choice.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it really, really hurt last game. They still got there, obviously, but we saw, even in this game, we're on their 5th turn, I believe it is, and it's still just only it's still 14 costing, so we're a ways away from casting the Psychic Ascension. Alrighty, so let's see. On TPZ's side here, this is a pretty nasty turn here. So we have Wicked Web spawn, followed up by a Gravengeist.
Let's talk about Wicked Web spawn. We saw this in action a little bit last game. This card does a lot.
It does. This card allows you to go super wide, and we have how many troops are in the
bin
crypt
there
here? Yes.
We've got three troops in the crypt here. So Wicked Web spawn's kind of a self-enabling card. Every time you activate the Scrounge mechanic, it summons 2 more Dreadlings for you. So it kind of creates this everlasting cycle of Dreadlings. And Gravengeist in conjunction with that makes all of your troops Scrounge. So basically every troop you play is going to generate more Dreadlings, which then make your future troops louder, and it just kind of snowballs really fast.
Yeah, and as you can see here, Poudine has no resources available here. So TPZ's basically able to do whatever he wants with this other Gravengeist in hand. I believe we're going to probably scrounge here and just kind of go wide and try and bash through the Silver Talon Adjudicator, I believe.
Yeah, would not be surprised to see this Gravengeist come out with the Scrounge 2, which will kick some things from here, and then this Gravengeist gets larger because some troops left to bend.
And it buffs our Crimson Slayer up quite a bit.
Crimson Slayer. We said this was his worst threat in hand, but it's still a very, very potent hex card.
It is.
Every time you Scrounge, repower and crush.
Very tough. Goes ahead and hits the Champ Power also, making 2 more Dreadlings. We're coming in for quite a bit here. This is 9, 10, 11, 12.
So we're kind of on glory or bust at this point from
it sure seems like it.
Table. Even something like, I guess Clash of Steel could potentially be okay on a board like this. Alright, we hit a Guidance, so that's a redraw.
Drew Guidance is a redraw.
Probably see a non-resource call at the top here because we need some action to live.
And we have a Transmogrifade?
Transmogrifade is not going to do it. Just two of these threats are lethal, so even if this turns it into a non-troop,
So we're transmogrificating.
I suppose we could hit. No, I don't know. That just doesn't do anything, right?
Yeah, there's still 5 power anyway we cut it. Yeah, still 5 power coming across here anyway we cut this. So we're going to go ahead and transmogrifade. Maybe for some reason they hope that TPC doesn't attack.
I mean, make him kill you.
It's also reasonable. Yeah, it's totally fine.
Unfortunately, because Hex is great software, it's difficult to hope that they click through their combat steps. It's not. That's not really a viable option like it is in some other digital card games.
It is very difficult to click through your tech phase. All right.
Now pulling up a third game here between Poudine and TPZ. Again, TPZ was the winner of our Cosmic Crown Showdown last weekend. Top-aided with the Redlings deck, and then 3-0'd the draft portion, playing a transform deck, I believe.
Yeah, I was pretty nifty. Those games were really good. I ended up watching I don't watch a lot of the draft, but I ended up watching it, and it was really incredible. Actually, pretty well played games.
So we head back on down here for the third and final game of this set.
Okay, so Poudine's going to be on the play here. Like we said, we have the powerful ice cards in hand to set up kind of what we need throughout with the Fate Weave. We have 3 shards total, alongside of a Transmogrifade, a Guidance, and Uldurathan's Glory, which we haven't seen in this set so far.
This is definitely one of the more potent cards in the matchup from the Sapphire Diamond control side of the table. Not only does this provide a very fast clock, like we talked about, needing to actually kill your Redlings opponent, but it stabilizes the board. It's bigger than Underworld Crusader, and all of the smaller things, they just go away. Yeah,
it's a very good card, and it like you said, it plays offense and defense, which is pretty important in this matchup for sure. And then the final card in Poudine's hand is a Silver Talon Adjudicator, which we've seen plenty of in this set so far.
On the other side of the table from TPZ, pretty reasonable opening hand for them. They've got 2-drop into Underworld Crusader. I'm going to be interested to see whether or not he chooses to lead on the coin on the first turn, or just kind of save it for that cycling value later on. With the Ruby Ice, I would be very surprised if we lead on anything other than the Ice here.
Kind of cuts out the mystery there. The Ruby Ice, pretty good here. I assume we're going to see that lead on here from TPZ. Goes with the Sepulchre Crypt Dust here.
Okay, so the Crypt Dust tells me that there's likely still some amount of double Ruby cards in TPZ's deck post-reserves here. Because remember, the Sepulchre Crypt Dust can only gain you a threshold you don't already have. So it can't get him the second Ruby threshold, but it can get him the first. And even without leading on the slow shard on 1, he's still going to be able to curve Wicked Web Spawn into Underworld Crusader on that side of the table.
Pretty fair start. Poudine going to go ahead and Guidance here on second turn. Draws a powerful reserve card in Confounding Ire.
This is a card we hinted at they likely had last game. Really clean answer to Underworld Crusader. Just takes it off the table without them getting to draw any extra cards from it.
They actually have a pretty nice setup here. TP's going to go ahead and play out the other Sepulchre Crypt Dust in hand and just put that Wicked Web Spawn on the table. So as I said earlier, Poudine has a pretty interesting one here.
Hit that 5th resource on time. That's pretty important.
Nice.
And this is one of the reasons why I love Confounding Ire in these decks, is Poudine's able to pass the turn here without an interrupt up, because the common interrupts like Weave into Nothing, they cost 3. So a lot of the time a card like Confounding Ire isn't going to always be on your radar, because this card, there aren't a lot of copies of these in their deck. Yeah,
setting up their draw steps while also leaving up counter magic is very, very powerful against these Redlings and more aggressive decks in the format. So we see TPZ here drew a Deathseeker, I believe, for the turn.
Yep. I'd be pretty surprised if we don't see Shard Underworld Crusader smash.
Yeah, it seems like that could be the play here.
Again, we see the third Sepulchre Crypt Dust come down, and this time again with the Gemborn Prowler already in hand, probably see a Diamond Threshold again.
Yeah, I would assume here. Plays the Deathseeker out here.
Okay, this is interesting. This is a little bit of a bait too, and I kind of like this from the TP side of the table, because you have the Necropolis coin in your hand. You're still going to get to be resource efficient this turn and spend all 3. And from the Diamond Sapphire control side of the table, you're probably going to want to Transmogrifade one of these two things when TPZ hits their champion power.
Yes, I agree. You want to try and minimize the damage here if possible.
Because remember, Underworld Crusader is one of your most potent cards in the matchup. These cards get cleared away by Dark Hearts and Uldurathan's Glories anyway, so if the opponent's spending a Transmogrifade on one of them, it's like,
Yeah. Alright, so you do see the champion power activated here. And if this goes unchecked, okay, so it does not go unchecked, we're going to go ahead and transmogrifade the Wicked Web spawn here, making a blood infusion device.
This at least isn't a dead draw for TPZ.
Yeah.
It doesn't have power and toughness anymore, but it is going to go ahead and get in a chip shot for 3 at some point. Another valuable thing to leaving up the 2 resource to potentially cycle the coin here is that 4th turn's kind of a pivotal turn for the Diamond Sapphire deck, because that's the first turn you can deploy a Dark card, right?
Yes, that's true. Let's see here. Gonna come on in here. Alrighty.
And remember, the Death Seeker just came into play, so that one is currently affected by troop trauma. Not going to be able to get in here.
Gonna come on in here for 1. Gonna put Dreaming Fox down to 24. We are even, dead even at 24. Draw for Putin here is a Psychic Ascension again. This one is 13 cost currently.
I'm just going to slide this one over here.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
I feel like it's not...
I mean, the good news is we do have 1 action in hand.
We do have an action. You're not incorrect. This card might get to 10 before this game ends.
You're not wrong. We might be able to see Psychic Ascension in play.
So now we have 2 different options here. You could jam the Silvertown Judicator or play the Confounding Ire. Something that's kind of interesting, worth noting, is that maybe it was worth letting TPZ get the extra Dreadling last turn, so you went to 23, because if you went to 23, you could have played the Silvertown Judicator to draw cards and game.
It's also true. There's a lot of different nuances within the Dreaming Fox deck where you want to take so much damage so that your Silver Talons are able to gain you life, but you also don't want to take too much because you don't want to die. So it's like a delicate balance you're in throughout the game.
So TPZ picked up another resource here. You got a lot of 3-drops in the hand, so not too terribly surprised to see the Ruby Ice get the play. The Motor Trike Driver actually plays around this Confounding Ire really nicely to let him smash on in.
Alrighty, so we're looking like we're going to come in here. Coming in for 5 here, we do have Rage on the Mortar Trike Driver, so putting Dreaming Fox Putin down to 17. Drew a 6th resource for the turn in the Diamond Shard, and we're going to go ahead and just slam this Eldurathan's Glory and go ahead and get rid of those cards.
And something else that's important too, we've talked about the scrounge mechanic a couple times in the Redlings deck. This voids all of the troops that came into play here. So if we take a look at TPZ's script, there's just that 1 lone Dreadling that the Champion Power activated.
Yeah, just 1 Dreadling, so scrounge is going to be pretty difficult to employ here.
Second Underworld Crusader is a decent hit. Honestly, I'm going to be curious to see if we attack or not with this. We choose to hold it back.
Yeah.
I guess you can chump block and then smash, and then gain your life and draw 2 cards potentially.
Yeah, not the worst. All right, we're going to go ahead and Putin's going to go ahead and Runebind this now. And
I like that. Take the aggressive line.
Absolutely.
Remember, when these come off of being a mysterious rune, you play it for free, which means if TPZ draws a resource, he's going to be able to Confounding Ire this Underworld Crusader.
Yeah, get it on the way back down. Not a bad idea here. So we're going to go ahead and crush in here with the Eldurathan's Glory, putting TPZ down to 19.
Speaking of scrounge cards, we've drawn a pretty powerful reserve card out of the other side. Again, we've mentioned this Redlings deck isn't just aggressive, it can grind a little bit here. So this card's going to allow them to void that Dreadling to draw an extra card and lose an extra life here.
Alrighty. So TPZ goes ahead and plays a 6th resource down here. And then we're going to see where we go from there. TP is going to go ahead and scrounge the Haunting Cry, as we alluded to earlier. I'm going to go ahead and draw a pair of cards and lose 2 life here.
We could see a Confounding Ire here. It's interesting to see whether or not they want a Confounding Ire this, or potentially save it for this other Underworld Crusader here. They could potentially think that, they're just going to be able to kill them before this card becomes relevant too.
That is true. So we went ahead and Confounding Ired, and now that leaves the opening available here for TPs to go ahead and play an Underworld Crusader. Going to go ahead and make another Dreadling.
And it's definitely worth making the Dreadling here. There might be additional copies of Haunting Cry or, say, Rust Bucket Distractor in TPZ's deck, and we're currently out of troops in our crypt. So adding this Dreadling to the board is valuable, not because it's going to deal damage, but because it's going to fuel future scrounge cards for TPZ.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and come in for 1. Pudding going to go ahead and take the damage there. Alright, so we drew a Weave into nothing for this one.
That's a pretty good one.
It is very good here.
I wonder if we're going to see a block here.
That's actually a good point. So, TPZ really is kind of in the market here for a way to get this Eldurathan's Glory off the table. We referred to the reserve cards earlier, such as Casualty War, which notably does not get Eldurathan's Glory.
That being said, the block... I might like drawing cards more than most. But this Silvertel Adjudicator,
there's no doubt.
It would have drawn cards and gained life that turn.
Sure.
Just something just to note.
All right, so TPZ with those draws and draw for the turn drew a Gravengeist, a Matriarch of the Flame, which we haven't seen yet, and a second Gemborn Prowler here.
We see the Matriarch coming into play here, and you can see it's got the Scrounge modifier from the Gravengeist. This is going to come in as a 5/5 here, which is pretty potent. It's going to be able to smash into this Old Earthen's Glory and trade.
However, we have a wave into nothing.
Psychic Ascension, all the way down to 10.
Very nice, very nice.
We might see that before this game ends. Worth noting that this Gravengeist did tick up to 3 power here. That is not an irrelevant amount of power.
Oh, nice. Draws a second Psychic Ascension from Poutine's side. And then, now,
important sequencing for Poutine here. A lot of times we're kind of trained to play our cards post-combat. It's important that he chose to play his Silver Talon Adjudicator pre-combat there, because the Old Earthen's Glory hitting TPZ meant that he wasn't going to have enough life to gain life if we did that post-combat.
Absolutely. Big deal there. Alrighty, so TPZ draws a Ruby Shard, which there was a Mysterious Rune, still, if you can remember previous turns, on the Underworld Crusader, which now it has come back into play. We've cast the Underworld Crusader from the Mysterious Rune here.
That's worth noting, too. Someone in chat commenting that Poutine could have Fate Weaved a resource to the top last turn, and then not only would they have had the 7th resource for their champion power, but then the Silver Talon Adjudicator would have drawn some cards as well there. So maybe a slight mishap.
Could be, yeah, could be. See where this one goes here. So TPZ's left with 2 Gemborn Prowlers, and we're just going to go ahead and play a vanilla Gemborn Prowler out on the table.
I actually really like playing the vanilla Gemborn Prowler out here. It means Underworld Crusader plus Gemborn Prowler can double block this Old Earthen's Glory, and putting one of these 2 in the bin also means that there's going to be 2 troops in this discard pile for the next Gravengeist to scrounge. Next troop for Gravengeist.
Yeah, definitely. Gemborn Prowler is kind of an interesting card from the reserves. Like we said earlier, it has high value target in Dark Cardinal Zan, but otherwise it's, sometimes it's just a body, which is also just fine.
Yeah, and important noting too, it is a necrotic, sometimes you're light on ways to enable your Sepulchral Crypt Dusk, so it definitely does that as well.
Alright, Poutine's set up for a draw step here, and it is an Arcane Focus. It's a pretty good one here.
Psychic Ascension, ticking down to 9 here.
Ooh.
So, if you're Poutine, you're really excited to find this dark card. If you're TPZ, you're more excited.
You're absolutely excited. Yeah, it's arguable to see who was more excited there.
So you can see one minor bug in the replay client here. When a card gets revealed from the opponent's hand, it does stay face down until it gets played out there. So this is the Gemborn Prowler that voided that dark heart. We see a Necropolis coins get cycled here.
We're up to two troops in the crypt, right, on TPZ's end here?
I know.
Just the one still. Okay.
Yep.
So we went ahead and used the 2 resources to draw a card with our Necropolis coin, and also drained Poutine for 2, and we drew an Emperor's Lackey here.
We could see Emperor's we could see this Underworld Crusader offer itself up as just a draw here.
It could bite the dust. So Poutine is still stuck with these 2 9-costing Psychic Ascensions in hand. Alrighty.
And we see a couple of trade-offs here. Picked up another Gravengeist and an Emperor's Lackey here, so that's pretty reasonable.
And I think notably the troops into the crypt is kind of where TPZ was going with that one. Is wanting to get the troops into the crypt.
And the second Gravengeist is a pretty excellent draw here in the face of clearing away that Silver Talon Adjudicator. They could scrounge this Gemborn Prowler here, and it'll be a 5/7 now, and this will go up to 3 evasive power in the sky.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting turn here. Yep, absolutely. Going to go ahead and scrounge. Using the Gravengeist's ability on the Gemborn Prowler. So that's a big one. A 5/7. Blocks Eldurathan's Glory.
It's bigger than Eldurathan's Glory. Oh, a second Glory!
Speaking of Eldurathan's Glory.
Comes off the top here and cleans up that evasive power in this guy. Not so evasive from the Eldurathan's Glory.
Yeah. Alright, TPZ went ahead and drew an 8th resource. We're going to go ahead and double block with the Glories here. Just trading one for one.
That's a pretty aggressive attack.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's see where he goes.
We get to deploy 2 Emperor's Lackeys here. I feel like TPZ is setting himself up so if he hits that removal spell for this other one, he's going to be able to apply a lot of pressure here.
Yeah. Go ahead and sack the Blood Infusion device. Putting TPZ to 13 and Poutine's down to 16 also. And as Jeff alluded to, we're seeing 1 Emperor's Lackey hit the battlefield and the second Emperor's Lackey to follow. We have Eldurathan's Glory on Poutine's side of the table. draws for the turn is a Confounding Ire, which is kind of a nice insurance policy here.
Yeah, definitely. And, like, you're in a pretty enviable position if you're Poutine right now. Like, drawing non-resources is great, and drawing resources is great, too, because you're only one point off away from creating this Oracle Song with your Dreaming Fox to draw a couple extra cards.
Yeah, so Poutine with a pretty decent insurance policy and that Confounding Ire and a pair of Psychic Ascensions in hand. TPZ was empty-handed, just draws for the turn and draws a Ruby Shard. Not exactly what he's looking for here. Going to be a 9th resource for TPZ.
Yep, and 9 resources to the 6 resources.
That's the 6 of the control deck.
And given the fact that the control player's drawn 2 Psychic Ascensions here and they're still ahead, do you think this matchup's good for the Diamond Sapphire deck?
It seems like it's probably pretty reasonable for them. Alright, TPZ in the unenviable spot here of not attacking with the Redlings deck is kind of what it looks like here. We'll see where he goes from here.
I'd be pretty surprised to see an attack there. I like holding the resource, just like, hey, maybe I have a thing. They're only 1 charge away from their champion power anyway, so they can play this and use the next turn.
Really big draw there out of Poutine. Draws the 7th resource here. Able to activate the champion power Dreaming Fox, which creates an Oracle Song.
Ooh, buddy!
Wow, we've drawn chump blockers.
We've drawn, not only do we got the Pump-A-Chumps, but the Thunderfield Seer here. That's Prophecy mechanic to draw some extra cards down the line. So just like everything you want to see against the aggressive deck.
Pretty good. The Oracle Song drew 2 Thunderfield Seers. Alrighty, TPZ.
We found a threat
playing around Confounding Ire.
We do. That one does not. There's no Ire for the Crimson Slayer.
So we're going to go ahead and put a Crimson Slayer into play here. That was TPZ's draw for the turn. Still stuck with that Ruby in hand.
You know, if he finds some Rust Bucket distractors here, we could still
be off and running.
Be okay. We see 2 Redlings get generated from the champion power here. That's not the worst. It's going to get 1 point of damage through, and it's going to sacrifice both of these to make the Emperor's Lackey slightly larger.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good here. The champion power probably isn't getting much better as the game goes longer here. So, as you said here, the 1 damage is going to come through. Going to sack the 1 being blocked by the other Earthan's Glory to one of the Emperor's Lackeys, and then the one that is dealt damage before we are ending our turn is sacked to the other Emperor's Lackey. Both back up to 4 power.
So worth noting a little bit of a non-bow here. We see Poutine draw the Fate Weave. While the Fate Weave cards are really powerful, they're actually kind of awkward with your Prophecy cards, because how Fate Weave works is it takes a card and it repositions it to the top of your deck, so it's making it take longer for you to find your Prophecy card. And they're both individually powerful cards, so they're worth playing together, but definitely a touch awkward.
It's a tug of war. So now we see TPZ here draw for the turn as a Deathseeker, which is going to scrounge, but it meets the Confounding Ire from the reserves from Poutine here.
That's an
interesting
aggressive
trade
there.
Yeah, interesting trade. I like it.
I guess they are going to get to Ascend this year. Maybe we are actually going to see Ascension take this game over.
Yeah. As you alluded to here, we see the 7-drop Ascension here cast.
So Psychic Ascension changes the champion that you are. You're going to see Poutine change into the Paragon of Thought here, which every time for 1 charge, they can now make a random action, and every time they play an action, they're going to generate a random troop. So the quality of the cards that you're getting from these activations are not terribly high, but the quantity of cards that you're generating is just extreme.
Yes. All right, we see a Stinging Ambush.
Is that a good one? I feel like on the list of cards that could have been generated, that one's probably towards the top.
Man, that's pretty good. Pretty good. So we could see here, I think we can kind of see the writing on the wall here. I believe TPZ is going to get ambushed, if you will.
Yep. So the Stinging Ambush will deal 1 damage to each of the attacking troops, which in conjunction with the Thunderfield Seers means that one of these Emperor's Lackeys is going to go away here.
Yeah, I assume one of them has become a 4/4 again as this block happens. Alrighty, so we see a Wicked Web spawn drawn here from TPZ. Gonna go ahead and put that into play. On Poutine's side, on Poutine's side, he is currently the Paragon of Thought.
And you'll see the Moon Warden here get generated at random when they play this because of the Paragon of Thought's champion effect.
Alright, we are being ambushed on TPZ's end here, dealing 1 damage to each attacking troop.
And I expect 2 blocks here, and we'll see one of these get sacrificed to the other to eat their way through the Thunderfields here. And then if the Psychic Ascension, the Paragon of Thought, wasn't going to be enough to lock this game up, I think the Dark Heart coming down will probably put it away.
Pretty good one to roll off the top here. Just another, like we said, another insurance policy here for Poutine.
Worth noting, too, when you revert, it actually pulls all the damage off that troop as well. So you see this goes back to its 4-4 state, removing that 1 damage from the Stinging Ambush as well.
Alrighty, let's see. So TPZ currently with 0 cards, and we see probably the final nail in the coffin here on Poodine's sign. Just draws a Silver Talon Adjudicator for the turn.
To be fair, Silver Talon Adjudicator is pretty terrible when you're this far
ahead. It's just a 3-2 right now.
It's just a 3-2 flyer. It's not...
TPZ with the 10th.
Pretty unlucky.
Resource.
Probably one of the worst draws in the deck there, actually, on the Silver Talon. Even a resource would have made a random action.
Alright, as you saw there, TPZ drew a 10th resource and packed it in, giving a win to Poodine in round 1 here of our bash.
So, won the CCS last week, but out the first round of the bash this weekend. But still,
all uphill.
So, stay tuned. We'll be right back with another match from the first round of our Hex Bash from today. Thanks for watching, folks.